You can exercise regularly, eat carefully, and still have a heart attack, just because of one small habit you repeat every day without realizing it. But if you change the right thing, even just one small adjustment, you could lower your risk of dying from heart disease by up to 87% after age 60. According to research published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, one of the most common mistakes is skipping breakfast, and that's only the beginning. I'd have analyzed hundreds of real-life cases combined with research data from countries like the U.S., the U.K., and Germany to help you recognize 4 hidden habits that quietly weaken the heart and 4 simple, science-backed habits that can protect your heart and blood vessels every single day. Don't skip this. Sometimes just one small change can save your life. Mistake 1. Skipping breakfast or eating it the wrong way. There is a habit that has been disguised under names like self-discipline or smart dieting. But in truth, it's a quiet trap for the aging heart. That habit is skipping breakfast. After a long night, when your heart has just spent 6 to 8 hours working in silence, it deserves to be restarted gently, steadily, with a proper meal. But instead, many people begin their day on an empty stomach and a cup of overly sweetened coffee. Imagine driving on the highway. Right after starting the engine, you slam the gas pedal. No oil check, no warm-up. What do you think will happen? For your heart, the answer is clear. Cortisol spikes. Heart rhythm becomes unstable. Blood pressure rises early in the day. And when you throw in a sugary pastry or sweetened coffee, insulin shoots up, then crashes down like a runaway train. Your heart is forced to keep adjusting to every wild swing in your blood sugar like an elderly person trying to leap across sharp, uneven stones in the dark. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that people who regularly skip breakfast have an 87% higher risk of dying from heart disease compared to those who eat breakfast every day. I've followed hundreds of patients between the ages of 60 and 75. They had one thing in common. They skipped breakfast for years, or ate things that were simple and convenient. Pastries, boxed cereal, canned coffee. And over time they got used to the dizziness when standing up, the lightheaded mornings, the slightly rapid heartbeat before eating anything. They all thought that's just part of getting old, but it wasn't. It was a warning. When I asked them to change, to add a bit of protein, some healthy fat, a little fresh fruit like oats, blueberries, chia seeds, and boiled eggs just after a few weeks, their blood pressure became more stable. Their energy lasted longer into the day, and more importantly, they felt a lightness in their chest they hadn't felt in years. That's when we realized sometimes the answer is already in our hands. We just haven't looked closely enough. And sometimes the things that look right, look healthy, look good for your heart are the very things quietly doing harm. You think skipping breakfast is the only mistake? It's not. The next one may be even more dangerous because it comes dressed as something perfectly safe. And chances are you're bringing it home every day without even knowing it. Mistake 2. Blindly trusting the heart-healthy label. On supermarket shelves, there are products labeled low-fat, cholesterol-free, heart-healthy, with bright colors, soft fonts, and shiny red heart symbols on the corner of the box. Shoppers feel reassured, and older adults feel even more confident they're making the right choice. But sometimes the trap doesn't lie in what you avoid. It lies in what you trust. There was a 67-year-old woman who ate very carefully. Every meal she had came from canned items labeled healthy. She believed she was living well, but her blood pressure kept rising. Her cholesterol went up. We started digging. No smoking, no alcohol, regular movement, low-fat diet. So what was going on? The answer was in the fine print on the back of her cereal box and soup can. We added it up. On average, she was consuming over 3,800 milliliters of sodium a day, twice the amount recommended for people over 60. And the main source wasn't table salt. It came from processed foods, convenience meals, and instant seasonings labeled heart healthy. According to a study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association, every 1,000 milliliters of excess sodium per day can raise your risk of stroke by nearly 20%. Just imagine. One serving of instant heart-healthy soup can contain up to 900 milliliters of sodium. And no one stops at one serving. Sodium is a silent killer. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't make you cough. It doesn't give you a fever. It shows no clear signs. But slowly, it increases pressure inside your blood vessels. It makes the heart work harder, thicker, more tired with time. After realizing the problem, she changed. She learned how to read labels. Any product with sodium in the first 3 ingredients went back on the shelf. She chose whole foods, less processed, and slowly began cooking for herself. In just 2 months, her blood pressure dropped by nearly 15 points without changing her medication, and she said something I'll never forget. "What's really good for the heart, doctor?" "No. On a label, it's how I choose each day." Numbers, slogans, heart-shaped logos, none of these can replace awareness. Your heart doesn't need pretty packaging. It needs the truth. You see, sometimes we buy because we trust, not because we understand. But what if the next thing you trust is the very thing keeping you from hearing what your heart is trying to tell you? We'll talk about that in the next part. Mistake 3. Ignoring early warning signs from your body. Your heart doesn't always sound the alarm with sharp chest pain or sudden collapse. Most of the time it just whispers, an irregular beat, a bit of shortness of breath while climbing stairs, a strange wave of tiredness after a meal. And the most frightening thing isn't the heart attack itself, it's ignoring the signs that clearly came before it. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), about 50% of people who die from a heart attack had no clear warning signs before it happened. But when asked carefully, many of them had already felt faint symptoms like shortness of breath, unusual fatigue, fast heartbeat, while resting lightheadedness, and all of them assumed it was just age. A report from the American Heart Association also shows that nearly 1 in 3 heart attacks in older adults happen without the classic chest pain. Especially in women over 60, the rate of silent heart attack, meaning a heart attack with no symptoms, is significantly higher than in men. A 71-year-old male patient once told me, "I just felt a little low on energy, probably just lack of sleep. But after doing a basic test, we found signs of hidden poor blood flow to his heart. Thankfully, we caught it in time and helped him avoid a major heart attack." Your body always has a way to warn you, but are you really listening? Remember, the heart doesn't scream. It only whispers. And if you miss those whispers tomorrow, you might hear the sound of an ambulance instead of your own heartbeat. So if lately you've felt unusual fatigue, a racing heartbeat while resting, or simply that you don't feel like yourself anymore, don't wait. Don't wait for your body to send you its final message. But sometimes it's not just the signs we ignore that are dangerous. There's something even trickier, something almost every older person does thinking they're doing the right thing. In reality, it's a classic mistake, one that slowly weakens the heart even when you think you're taking care of it. I'll show you exactly what that is in the next part. Mistake 4. Sitting too long even if you exercise. Many people believe that exercising in the morning is enough. A short walk around the block, a few stretches, maybe even a full 45-minute yoga session. And then they spend the remaining 8 hours sitting still. Office chairs, car seats, sofas, TV couches. But the truth is this: if you sit for more than 6 hours a day, your risk of heart problems increases by 64%. And what's more concerning is that this number stays the same even if you exercise regularly. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the human body wasn't designed to stay still for long periods. When you sit too long, blood flow slows down in the legs, fat builds up, and the enzymes that normally help break down fat in your blood stop working almost immediately. As a result, clots may form, triglyceride levels rise, blood pressure is affected, and the heart is forced to work harder just to maintain proper circulation. One man once told me, "I walk 5,000 steps every morning without failing the doctor." But when we looked at his activity logs, it turned out that after 9 a.m. he barely moved. His triglycerides were elevated, his blood pressure was unusually high in the afternoon, and he often felt drained around midday even though his breakfast was solid. We made just one small adjustment. He set a reminder every hour to stand up and move gently for 2 minutes. After 3 weeks, his blood fat levels dropped, blood pressure became more stable, and most importantly, he said he no longer felt sluggish. His mind was clearer, and his body felt renewed. A large study by the American Cancer Society, involving more than 100,000 adults, showed that long periods of sitting are linked to a higher risk of early death from heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes, especially in those over the age of 60. Sitting doesn't take your life in one day. It takes it slowly and quietly, hour by hour. Remember, exercising once a day is not enough to undo an entire day of stillness. Movement should not be treated like a single event. It is a rhythm of living. And your heart needs that rhythm, not just once a day, but multiple times every hour. You see, the things we think we've already done often make us the most complacent. But what about the habits that truly protect the heart? The simple, gentle, realistic things that quietly but powerfully prevent heart attack and stroke. That's exactly what we'll explore next. Good habit 1. Gentle and consistent movement. The heart is a silent musician. It keeps playing the rhythm of life whether you're listening or not. And what it needs isn't intensity. It needs a steady, patient, just enough rhythm of living. Not speed, but presence. Not how far you run, but how long you stay in motion. According to official recommendations from the American Heart Association, just 150 minutes of moderate movement per week, about 22 minutes a day, can reduce the risk of death from heart-related conditions by up to 31%. This number rises even more clearly in people over 60, where a small daily change can lead to noticeable improvements in heart function. Consistent movement doesn't just improve blood flow. It helps clean out fatty buildups in your vessels. It lowers insulin resistance. It makes your blood vessels more flexible. And it helps your heart beat more effectively with the same beat. I once worked with a man who had just come through a mild heart attack. He was filled with fear, afraid to get up, afraid to walk, afraid that one wrong move would make his heart fail again. But we started small, 10 minutes of walking around the house every morning, a few stretches at noon, and in the evening, just standing up from his chair a few times. 3 months later, his resting heart rate dropped from 86 to 68. His blood pressure became stable. Most importantly, his recovery time after moving almost doubled compared to when he first started. But the most powerful change wasn't in the numbers. It was in his eyes, the eyes of someone who had taken back control of his own heart. You see, many people believe they need to go to the gym to sweat to push themselves hard for movement to count. But in truth, real movement is when every small motion in your day becomes a quiet reminder to your heart that it has not been forgotten. You can start today. No plan needed, no equipment, just stand up, step out of stillness. And if there's one other habit that doesn't require walking or even moving at all, but still powerfully impacts your heart, your blood pressure, and even your nervous system, would you want to know what it is? I'll share that with you next. Good habit 2. Eating right for the heart. People often say you are what you eat. But for those over 60, a more accurate saying might be that your heart reflects everything you eat. Each meal is more than just hunger and fullness. It's a message sent directly to your blood vessels, a choice between protecting or slowly wearing down the lining inside them, between calming your heartbeat or making it struggle in silence. Modern science has made it clear. Anti-inflammatory foods like dark leafy greens, berries, fatty fish, rich in omega-3, And whole grains are not just good for digestion or the immune system. They directly reduce inflammation along the vessel lining where heart attacks and strokes often begin without warning. One study published in the journal Circulation showed that older adults who followed a Mediterranean-style diet, rich in antioxidants and healthy fats, had a 30% lower risk of heart problems compared to those who ate a typical Western-style diet. I once worked with a 66-year-old woman who ate regularly and on time, but her diet leaned heavily toward white starch, red meat, and canned foods. We didn't ask her to change everything, just one meal a week, swap red meat for salmon, swap white bread for oats, swap canned soup for steamed vegetables. 2 months later, her total cholesterol dropped by 22 points. But more noticeably, she slept more deeply. She no longer felt chest tightness in the morning, and the constant fatigue disappeared, even though her daily routine hadn't changed. She told me, "I don't feel like I'm dieting. I feel like I'm being nourished." Eating right doesn't mean eating less or suffering through bland food. It's not about counting every calorie or avoiding every bit of oil. It's about choosing foods your body thanks you for afterward. It's about listening to that quiet voice inside asking whether this meal makes you feel stronger or heavier. So what about your last meal? Was it a meal that helped repair your blood vessels? Or was it a meal that made your heart work over time? And what if I told you there was a habit even simpler than eating? No cooking, no shopping, just going to bed on time every night. Would you believe that could also help prevent heart attack and stroke? We'll find out in the next part. Good habit. 3. Sleeping right and enough. If movement is the rhythm of the day, then sleep is the quiet recovery of the night. And the unfortunate truth is that the older we get, the more we tend to overlook that quiet space. People sleep less, they sleep later. Their sleep becomes shallow, and they believe it's normal. But the heart doesn't agree. To the heart, sleep is never something extra. When you sleep deeply, your heart rate slows down. Blood pressure drops. Anti-inflammatory hormones are activated. The blood vessels begin repairing. Circulation improves. The heart gets to rest. And only then can it function properly the next day. Sleeping too little less than 6 hours a night significantly increases the risk of heart attack and stroke. According to a study of more than 45,000 adults published in the European Heart Journal, people who sleep less have a 20 to 30% higher risk of heart problems compared to those who get enough sleep. This risk becomes even more noticeable in people over 60. But here's the irony. Sleeping too much more than 9 hours a night isn't helpful either, because it's often not quality sleep, but a sign of weakness, depression, or hidden sleep disorders that disrupt heart rhythm and raise the risk of blood clots. I once worked with a 70-year-old man who said he was getting 7 hours of sleep every night. But when we used a sleep tracker, it showed he was getting less than 40 minutes of deep sleep. All night long, his body never entered a true state of recovery. We changed just 3 small things: reduced blue light in the evening, fixed his bedtime, and turned off the phone 30 minutes before lying down. After 2 weeks, his deep sleep doubled. His morning blood pressure dropped by nearly 10 points. And he said for the first time in years he woke up without feeling tired. Sleep is not a reward. It's a requirement for the heart to live long and function accurately. If you still think going to bed early is a luxury, then your heart may soon have to pay a heavy price for it. So when was the last time you had a deep, full night of sleep and woke up with a heart that felt light and rested? If sleep is the moment when the heart gets to rest, then maybe there's still one more habit that helps the heart heal while we're awake. Not movement, not food, but something that begins in the mind and ends with your heartbeat slowing down. We'll reach that in the final part. Good habit 4. Managing stress the right way. Chronic stress is one of the clearest risk factors and yet the most overlooked in heart attack and stroke cases among older adults. When stress lasts too long, the body enters a constant state of alert. Cortisol stays high. Adrenaline increases. Blood pressure rises. The heart beats faster, not just for a day, but every single day. the blood vessels become quietly inflamed. The inner lining is damaged, arteries stiffen, and one day, even a small life event can be enough to push the heart past its limit. According to a study published in the journal Circulation, high stress levels can increase the risk of heart attack by up to 27% and raise the risk of stroke by up to 30% in people over 60. There was a widowed woman living in the Midwest of the U.S. who had been diagnosed with irregular afternoon heartbeats, slightly elevated blood pressure in the evenings, and a heavy feeling in the chest for no clear reason. No major illness, no major risk factors. We started with just 3 simple things: 5 minutes of deep breathing every morning, gentle walks without a phone, and writing down 3 things she was grateful for every night. No medicine, no complicated techniques. 2 weeks later, her resting heart rate dropped. Blood pressure became more stable. But the clearest change wasn't in the numbers. It was in her voice. Deeper, softer, no longer rushed like in previous visits. You can eat well, exercise regularly, sleep enough. But if you carry stress in your mind all day, your heart is still fighting from within. And the saddest part is no one hears your heart struggling under stress. Only you. So today, have you given yourself a moment of quiet? It doesn't need to be long. It just needs to be real. Maybe you won't feel anything after the first 5 minutes of stillness. But if you give your heart that time each day, one day it will thank you in a way no medicine ever could. Taking care of your heart after 60 doesn't require big changes. Just one small thing you can start today. One step, one healthy breakfast, one night of sleep on time, one moment to slow your breath. Your heart has stayed with you all the way until now. Don't wait for it to speak up before you start listening. If this video helped you, please share it with a friend or someone you care about. And if you'd like to keep walking this path with me, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'll still be here with you, with this heart.